listening to
You're listening to
You're listening to
You are listening
You're listening to
again, and you're listening to
Active FM.
Active FM.
Active FM.
FM.
To Active FM.
I said you're listening to the political show right here on Active FM, where radio has never been better and Christ politics is
Hot politics.
hot politics. And this week's hot politics has been trending on social media. It's been trending on the news articles. The hashtags on Twitter has all been about what's happening in Afghanistan. And do you want to give a brief explanation of what specifically we're speaking about in terms of Afghanistan?
Okay, so you think people that are listening to this show won't know why we're talking about Afghanistan this week?
Well, there's so much that's happening.
Well, it's not much.
Okay, well,
America pulled out after 20 years.
that's one of
And
it.
the people who were ruling them before, the Taliban, they're back in charge within basically weeks.
A week.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, but I mean, I think from the time that the Americans started pulling out, it was a few weeks.
Yeah.
So, you know, and the president, out of nothing, the president got out of the country, and the next day, Kabul was overrun. That's the capital.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the Taliban, the reason why we're talking about Afghanistan, Taliban, we can make a poem. But the Taliban obviously operates under Sharia law.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the mainstream media in the West, they've been saying, we're calling on the Taliban to respect the rights of women.
Wow.
I mean, they've just won the country in a war. What do you mean we're calling on? if I've won a war, I'll say, hey, forget you. I mean, are you going to listen to someone if you win the war?
No.
You beat someone up, they're lying on the ground. Then they lie, while they're lying on the ground, they're bleeding. They tell you, we demand that you treat this person and that person like this way. We demand it.
And that only happens in movies.
Really? No, but
Where they listen.
even in movies.
No. Movies that are not politically correct. So like an action, not an action movie, like a superhero movie or superhero, especially under DC. What's this?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like
a rom-com.
It's
something like
that's
that.
so pathetic because it's like, you know, when Loki made demands of the Hulk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly
In
like
the first
that.
Avenger.
Yes, exactly.
Next thing the Hulk took poor Loki there.
Yes. Yes, exactly
And
like
smashed him
that.
to smithereens. Yeah. So I
So
think that's what the Taliban's going to do with their demands and their pleas, and the UN saying, yes, the international community has to ensure women's rights. What about Christians' rights? Women's rights for sure. What about the church's rights? Christians are in big trouble there now.
yeah, they are. So that's what we're going to be speaking about. It's going to be a hot topic. So now, Afghan women are worried about their future. They're concerned that after 2 decades of educational and political and social rights will be undone. And there was an interview that I actually watched by Al Jazeera, interviewing a group of Afghan women, and one of them actually compared the Taliban takeover to a bird building a nest and taking its time building it only to watch other people destroy it. She says that's how it feels to be a woman in Afghanistan at the moment. And then on Tuesday, the Taliban urged women to join the movement and that they will not impose the same harsh restrictions of the 1990s. And if you know how Afghanistan was in the 1990s, it was ruled by the Taliban as well. Yeah. Women's rights are of particular concern with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. On Monday, called on the Taliban to protect the hard-won rights of Afghan women and girls. And that's what you were speaking about earlier.
Okay, yeah. Now, I just want to say about that statement, the hard one. Okay, so they all report on this, and yes, it's a true statement.
Yeah.
So George W. Bush is enemy number one. He bombed the hell out of Afghanistan, and they took over Afghanistan, you know, after 9/11 in 2001. You know, and the Americans have been the worst thing that have happened to Afghanistan, according to many of these media people.
Yeah.
But now they quote the UN, who's also complained about the Americans being in Afghanistan, saying that, you know, we must protect the hard-won rights of women in Afghanistan. How were they won? with bombs and guns.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So now Taliban spokesperson, so this is the guy that was speaking, if you watch the press conference that they had. His name is Zibullah Mujahid. While addressing a news conference in Kabul, in his first public appearance, he said women will be given all their rights within Sharia law, the Islamic laws. He also said if women work in line with the Sharia law, they can work freely in the media. And speaking to VOA earlier, Sahil Shaheen declined to clearly state whether Afghan women will be part of the future government. But he did say about women, we have announced already that they have access to work and education by observing hijab. Today you may have seen on Afghan TV stations women wearing hijab and doing their job. So female news anchors broadcast news on Afghan mainstream television stations without interruption by covering their heads with a cloth or hijab.
That's where it starts.
Yes.
Okay, because already there are reports. If you start looking at Christian Broadcasting Network, and so if you start looking at Christian sources, that as the Taliban were taking territory, that the Taliban soldiers were taking women from the towns and the villages that they had conquered as spoils of war.
Sure.
There are already reports of that.
Yeah.
There are also reports that the Taliban moved into Kabul and they moved through all the houses and they confiscated all the guns of the people that own guns in Kabul.
Sure.
So in Kabul, they're saying it's bull to own a gun.
Sure. So now, women rights activists. I watched another video that was released by Al Jazeera with women rights activists in Kabul, and they say these are the two scenarios that future holds for the women in Afghanistan. The first one is women will continue going to school, university, work, etc., but they will have some limitations. And then the second one, they will delete women from society completely, meaning that women will not be able to go out, they will not be able to do anything because of the Sharia law.
Well, that's how it is in Saudi Arabia. You see, this is what they don't say. Okay, already in Saudi Arabia, in Saudi Arabia, Cynthia, if you were a Saudi citizen, if you get raped, you'd probably be arrested.
Yeah.
Because why were you out without either a husband, a father, or one of your brothers?
Sure.
So you can't go out. It's lockdown's not a new concept for Saudi women.
Yeah.
Because literally, if they get raped and they're out on their own, you're not allowed to go out on your own.
Yeah. So now we're going to go through the Sharia law, and then you guys are going to comment on this is what the future holds for the women in Afghanistan, basically. So women are under
because they're operating. You see, Western media, they come with their, their situational ethics. They come with their postmodernism and all of that sort of stuff, and they report like these guys are going to keep their word anyway. They're not even going to keep their word. That I can promise you, they're going to keep their word. They've got their own sets of rules. I mean, in Sharia law. All right. Do you have anything about what age a woman must be to get married?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now we'll let you.
It's very shocking.
You're well prepared.
So we first see that women are under the control of male relatives or husbands who are considered their guardians. They are considered to be absolute property of males such as fathers, brothers, husbands, etc. Their financial independence is impossible. The financial independence is impossible for women in Islam. The male guardian has the right to prevent his Muslim woman subject from education, work, travel, leaving the house, etc. A Muslim woman is not allowed to travel without her husband or a man of her marriageable kin, meaning that she can't travel with a man that the only way she can travel is with a man that she can't get married to, basically, unless the journey is obligatory, like the pilgrimage, the Hajj. Yes. And then according to Sharia law, a non-Muslim who marries a Muslim woman is punishable by death.
Sorry?
So no, you can continue with that, then I'll continue with what you want to say.
So in other words, a woman doesn't have rights under Sharia law. She only has wrongs.
Yes. So a non-Muslim man who marries a Muslim woman is punishable by death. A woman or girl who has been raped cannot testify in court against her rapist. Testimonies of 4 male witnesses are required to prove the rape of a woman. A woman or girl who alleges rape without producing 4 male witnesses is guilty of adultery. A woman or girl found guilty of adultery is punishable by death. A male convicted of rape can have his conviction dismissed by marrying his victim. Muslim men have sexual rights to any woman or girl not wearing a hijab. A woman can have 1 husband who can have up to 4 wives. A man can marry an infant girl.
Okay. Let's be fair. A man can have 4 wives as long as he can look after all 4. It does say that.
No, why is the man having 4 wives? That is not right at all.
Yeah,
no one
you know what,
understands
at least,
that.
Please.
No.
Let's not be giving fake news.
I'm reading exactly what I got from
I'm
the
telling
website.
you now that he can have 4 wives as long as he can look after all 4.
Okay. But still, doesn't matter. A man can marry an infant girl and consummate the marriage when she is 9 years old.
Because Muhammad did that with Aisha, his last wife. He married her when she was 6.
What?
She was 6 years of age. And
Sure.
they consummated, well, some say 9. Others saw it might be younger.
Sure.
Might be younger than 9. And he was, I think, in his 50s.
Sure. I think my sister, I have a 9-year-old sister. 9 years old sister. Now imagine, oh my gosh, that is hectic.
Off she goes with Muhammad. Honeymoon, yeah, we come. And he's 54.
Sure.
Sure. A man can unilaterally
That, you know that
divorce-
happens. No, that happens in Saudi.
Yeah,
Places like Saudi
yeah,
Arabia.
yeah, it actually does.
These child brides actually happens there. And
Sure.
they defend it.
Yeah,
I've heard Muslim scholars defending this.
sure. A man can unilaterally divorce his wife. A wife needs her husband's consent to divorce. A divorced wife loses custody of all children over 6 years of age and when they exceed it. So meaning that if you have a child that is 5, the moment the child turns 6, you lose custody of that child as a woman. A woman's testimony in court allowed in property cases carries half the weight of a man's. A female heir inherits half of what a male heir inherits. A woman cannot drive a car as it leads to fitna, which is rebellion. A woman cannot speak alone to a man who is not her husband or relative. And these are just some of the things that I found on the Sharia law.
So what's the problem? Our producer Gloria is thinking I must go to Islam because this puts him in the pound seats.
What's the problem? I can't drive because they think that what rebellion is it going to lead to? That is...
No. Under Sharia law, if you rebel, we just... The law of the palm. Slapping you across the cheek.
Sure. No, this is a lot. And this is what they're going to...
No, if you rebel, literally, okay, when a wife rebels, she gets slapped.
Sure. So that's abuse.
No. It's discipline.
No, it's not.
According to Islam, it's discipline. I'm not agreeing with it.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you, I'm telling you what Islam says. Islam says there's discipline.
Yeah.
I remember there was a guy, he used to work with us, he was Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And at around the time of the 1991 Gulf War, in Iraq, we were having a discussion and this thing came out and he said, no, it's okay for a man to eat his wife because if she's rebellious. So obviously we were debating with this guy heavily. No, because the Quran says that.
No, that is true.
Okay, anyone who says that's not true, either is ignorant or lying. Because if they know and understand Sharia law, they know that I can beat my wife if she's rebellious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when do I class her as rebellious?
When she doesn't follow.
Anytime she doesn't do what I want her to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the Quran it mentions, and we were speaking about it earlier, where Muhammad actually said that a woman is less valuable than the cheapest rug.
Yeah.
So the cheapest rug you can think of, women are less valuable than that, and stuff. And that's what the concern is for the female activists in Afghanistan and
Now,
stuff.
if the journalists did their homework,
Yeah.
they would have investigated what are women's rights under Sharia law? They would have studied Sharia law, and they would have said, this is what it means.
Yeah.
And they'd be putting questions to these guys, this is what it means.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at CNN's coverage of this whole thing,
Yeah.
and they've been defending the Taliban.
No, they have. Yeah.
But their values are so opposed to what the Taliban stands for, it's not even funny. In fact, if you take, they say anti the church. But if you take the church, they're on the extreme left, right? CNN. Okay? Anti-God, anti-Christian, anti-Christ, anti-everything.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you've got the Taliban say they're way over there on the right. The church is somewhere in the middle. Now CNN siding with the guys that are way right of us. Okay?
Sure.
We just say adultery is wrong.
Yeah.
We say homosexuality is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. That's what the Bible says. They kill you.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, if you engage in homosexuality, you know, and did you read the one out? I'm trying to remember the where yeah, I think you did. So if the woman can't get 4 men to testify to a rape,
Then she's guilty.
prosecuted under adultery. And
Yes.
what if she's found guilty?
If she's found guilty,
It's death penalty.
Death penalty.
No, she dies
or-
by stoning.
Yeah.
They literally they put her in the ground, strictly under Sharia law. So they dig her into the ground, and then the men of the town or the village come and they start stoning her until she's dead.
Sure. Yeah. That and the thing with the court system in under Sharia law is that women don't get to testify. So that's why also you need 2 women. So two women's testimony is equivalent to 1 man's testimony.
Yeah,
basically.
and it works the same with Christians. If you're a Christian, your testimony is also worth less than that of a Muslim.
Yes, way less.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're in a contentious situation in a court of law under Sharia, and this is in Pakistan, it will now be in Afghanistan, it'll be in Saudi Arabia, you know, Kuwait, Dubai, even Dubai, all of these places, right? So you testifying as a Christian before the court. If it's your word against the Muslims, the court's going to take the Muslim's word, and that even includes a situation where a Muslim comes and says you're guilty of blasphemy against the Quran or against Muhammad or something like that. And if they're lying, and you say they're lying, and so now it's your word against theirs because there was no other witness,
Yeah.
the judge will find you guilty because the judge takes the testimony of the Muslim above the non-Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay, and you'll be sentenced to death.
Sure, that's hectic. Black Knight, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think on this one, instead of me being asked, I'd ask you, what do you think about all of this? I'd want to get your thoughts. What do you feel when you hear all of this?
Obviously, it's their law. So when they implement it, like on Western television and things like that, they're obviously saying that, no, they're going to keep, so they using their words wisely. They're going to keep the women's law within the
Women's
framework,
rights.
women's rights within the framework of the Sharia law. So they're basically telling us that, listen, these women are not going to have any rights at all.
Yeah, but my question is,
Yeah.
what kind of journalists are they? That they don't even ask them, so what does that mean? What rights do a woman have under Sharia law?
Yeah, so I think it's just for coverage or whatever and stuff. So I honestly, in my heart, it's just like I'm going to pray for these women and just hope, for the best, because they're going to be the second option, the second scenario from the women rights activists is what's going to happen in Afghanistan. It's the whole thing.
Well, the best case is they're
women-
limited.
Yeah, the best case is that it's probably going to start off like that.
Yeah, but that's the best
And
case.
then eventually when this whole thing, now it's no longer trending on social media and things like that, then they're going to start bringing in the actual law, and then it's going to go back to how it was in the 1990s and stuff.
I just want to say one last thing.
Yeah.
That, many of the liberals and progressives and all of these people in the West are siding with the Muslims.
Yeah.
And they're stupid. Because the Muslims follow a philosophy or an ideology that says the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And a Muslim will take help from whoever they can get until they're powerful enough to stand on their own. And then they'll attack everyone.
Yep. Exactly. So let us know your thoughts on our social media platforms. Answer the question, what do you think? Do you think the first scenario is going to happen where women will continue going to school, work, and all of these things, but will have limitations? Or do you think the second scenario will happen where they'll be deleted from society, meaning that the full Sharia law will be in effect over the women in Afghanistan? Let us know on our social media platforms. This is the political show on Active FM, where Christ Politics is
Politics.
our politics. In Psalms 99 verse 9, it says, "Exalt the Lord our God and worship at his holy mountain, for the Lord our God is holy."
This is the only hope. If people end up in a situation and you're a Christian in a place like Afghanistan, that is your only hope.
Yeah.
All right. And, obviously in a situation like that as a Christian, you have to go underground.
Yeah.
And you don't have you have a choice, go underground or die. Well, you got three choices. One is go underground, two is die, or three is become a Muslim. You don't have any other choice.
Yeah.
All right. So, if you end up in a situation like that, the thing is to be like Daniel, and he continued to pray, even if it was going to cost him his life.
Yeah.
We also see in the book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were instructed to worship a statue of the king. They continued to worship, and God supernaturally delivered them. But I want to just finish with these words. When they faced Nebuchadnezzar, they said to him, "We will never bow down and worship you." And then they said this, and this was a striking thing, and it's always challenged me to the core. They said, "Our God is perfectly able to save us from whatever you may do to us. But even if he chooses not to, we will never bow down to you."
Sure.
So I wouldn't like to be in the Christians in Afghanistan's shoes.
Yeah, sure. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot what I wanted to say. This is the political show on Active FM, where radio has never been better. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you can call me Gix. And with me in studio we have
Gavin Ensslin.
Pastor Gavin Ensslin and
The Black Knight.
the Black Knight, right here on the political show, where Christ Politics is
Hot politics.
hot politics.